Hey everyone, how are you? I hope that your day is going well. Today, we are going to get into and we are going to talk about thoroughly buying a home before selling your current home. So, they're going to be two simultaneous transactions. Does it work? Is it risky? Is it possible? How do you navigate that type of transaction? Don't worry, you are in good hands. I am going to go over it with you. We're going to go over the pros and the cons. This type of transaction, believe it or not, can go very smooth. But it also can be very stressful without the right guidance and planning. My goal is to give you valuable information so that you can brainstorm at home and make an informed decision. That's the purpose of this video, to help you with that. When questions come up, I advise you guys to speak with your realtor and ask your realtor for some guidance and brainstorm with your realtor. They actually love doing that and can give you some insight and perspective to add to the table. And if you don't have a realtor and you'd like to speak with one, you can connect with me. Use the QR code there and let's book a call and go over and brainstorm all of your ideas. On the pro side, you can avoid temporary housing scenarios. By purchasing a new home before selling your current home, you can avoid the temporarily staying with family, in a hotel, extended stay option, including an Airbnb, because there's going to be that miscellaneous unknown amount of time where you sell your home and you have your equity that has transformed into money in your bank account so that you can put down on your new home. That's the name of the game. People start moving up in real estate. They start with their first home. It's a small home. It's not their dream home yet. And their intention is to build that equity up and put it down on a bigger home. So one of the things that people do is, and it does depend on the market. And that's why speaking with a realtor and getting to know what type of market we're in and how to best kind of strategize with you as far as what would be better for you guys. But also it provides you with peace of mind knowing that you have a place to move into without any rush, without any pressure. And that sounds really good. So you have a home, you find a home with no rush and no pressure. It's the home that you want, because again, we're not renting, right? We're buying. And that's the whole point, is finding a home that you love because you're planting your roots there. You're going to stay there. That is your home. Another pro is timing and convenience. Again, you have the flexibility to search for your dream home without any urgency, allowing you to take your time to find the right property. You can coordinate the move at your own pace, minimizing the stress associated with doing it at the same time, which by the way, I've done that, and we can still sell it simultaneously. But this one right here, this option definitely gives you kind of like that slow pace peace of mind where you're not rushing into making a purchase. In a competitive real estate market, buying first enables you to act quickly when you find the right property. And it's imperative to do the right planning ahead of time so that you can act quickly when the opportunity presents itself. So depending on how you strategize, most realtors that are representing a seller are going to want to know that if you're in this type of scenario, at the very bare minimum, you at least are listing your home for sale. So let's say you don't have your home on the market quite yet, and you're not going to put it on the market until you find the property. That's your comfort level. So you have to be ready. This is the careful planning and the guidance that the realtor is going to help you on. So you find a property and you don't have to do all of the pre-work, which is prepping the home for sale, cleaning it, staging it, and all of that good stuff. It's already done. And that way you can just put your home on the market. And putting your home on the market is not something that should be done quickly. You definitely want to give your realtor enough time, because there is so much work for your realtor that goes in on the back end. And so rushing through that process is definitely not something that you want to do. You want to speak with your realtor and plan for this in advance if this is the strategy that you're most comfortable with. Okay, so let's get into the cons of financial burden. Owning two properties simultaneously means that you have to manage two mortgages. And this is not a time where you're going to be getting a renter or anything like that, right? You have a vacant home and then you have an occupied home, and you're still responsible for those payments, which will include your taxes and your homeowner's insurance. If you have an HOA, you may need to secure bridge financing or take on additional debt until your home is sold. So again, this is something that your realtor will go over with you, and it's definitely something to consider. We're going to get into the different types of financing that you can utilize when purchasing a home first. Option number one, you can get a new first mortgage and cash on hand, meaning you have funds in your bank account and you can use that as a down payment. You can go as little as 3.5% down or 5%, depending on what loan product is best and which loan product has the best interest rate and all of that good stuff. The second option is your new first mortgage and gift funds. You can borrow money from relatives if you don't have any cash on hand. This is another option, and then you can pay them back when you sell your home. Another option is a new first mortgage and you pull from your 401k to put as your down payment. Again, 3.5 or 5%. Sorry. That don't look too cute, but you get what I'm saying. Another option is your new first mortgage and you can take a HELOC. A HELOC is a home equity line of credit. It's a second mortgage that you take out from your first home as long as you have equity in your home, which we're assuming that you do because you're selling, right? And your intention is to put down equity on your new home. So essentially, you're going to be taking the equity and putting it down on the new home along with the new first mortgage. That's another option. And then lastly, the private lending option and a HELOC is something else you can consider. Now, pay off all when you sell. You can have the option to pay off all of the new mortgage that you're getting, depending on how much equity you have, or a portion of it when you sell. And if that's part of your strategy, then what I want you to do, and this is super important, is your new lender, you're going to ask them before you go with them. So this is part of pre-planning, you guys. Ask your new lender if they will recast your mortgage when you sell your property. Again, before you go and commit to getting a first mortgage and closing, you're going to want to know what the rules are, because you can either put that money down and you might get charged a prepayment penalty. That's if you pay your whole loan off before an allocated amount of time. Sometimes it's 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. So you're going to also want to know if they have a prepayment penalty if you're planning on paying it off in full. But sometimes they won't recast it. And what that is let's say you have a loan of $400,000 and you're going to be putting $200,000 down so they can pay it off. Recasting it is based on what your interest rate is. You are not going to be paying the payment on $400,000. If they recast it, then you're going to be making the payment on $200,000 with that same interest rate. That's what you want. That lowers your payments. So that one is super important. Okay, here's another con: contingency offers. Purchasing your new home becomes more challenging when we are in multiple offer situations, unfortunately, with other buyers who don't have an additional contingency. There are already 3 contingencies in place for buyers to back out of the sale. So a home buyer is not committed to purchasing the home initially for at least the first 17 days because they got to go through their inspections, they got to get their loan approved, and they have to get an appraisal on the property. So adding another layer onto your offer makes it less competitive and less appealing to a seller who is looking for a smooth, clean, easy sale. And by the way, they all are. You will too when you sell your home. You're going to be looking at the offers and say, which one is going to be the easiest and smoothest one? Okay, so let's get into that a little bit. I wanted to give you guys a visual. All right, so this is the traditional sale. Traditionally, it takes about 30 days from start to finish. So you get your offer accepted on day one when you purchase your new home, and you get the keys in 30 days. You put your 3% deposit. It could be less, just depending on how you structure your offer, but the average is 3% deposit of the sales price. You put that down within 3 days. And then within 17 days, sometimes this is less, depending again how you structure your offer. And you're gonna have to get your loan approved. You're gonna have to get your appraisal done and your inspection done. Then at the 17th day, let's say all goes well and everything checks out and you're still in love with the property, then we move to the closing table and you get your keys on day 30. That's in a perfect scenario. And this is a smooth, traditional sale. Now, when we talk about a simultaneous sale, this is your current home, the one that you need to sell, and this is your new home. So when you're selling it simultaneously, that means that you put your current home on the market and the buyer goes through the same process that I just mentioned over here. They go through the same process, but you have the contingency that you can actually do it a couple ways. You can put your home on the market with the contingency to purchase your new home. So essentially the buyers put 3% deposit down. And in most cases, this is where they stop. And they give you 17 days, or it depends, but this is by default in our contract, is 17 days to look for a new home. In 17 days, if you have acquired a new property and you've entered escrow and you have your offer accepted, now the time clock starts ticking for your property, and the time clock can resume for this property here. Let's say you did not find a home within 17 days, the buyer has the option to give you more time or to cancel the transaction. That's one option of how you can do it. Let me clear everything and let me do a second scenario for you. Let's say you purchase the home first. So this is your timeline, right? You get your offer accepted with the contingency. Now you have over here in a traditional sale, you have 3 contingencies. Now you just added another one, a sale contingency. So you have your offer accepted and you put your deposit down, and now this is where it stops. The seller of your new home is going to give you 17 days or whatever we decide or whatever we negotiate. But again, by default, it's 17 days to sell your current home. So you put it on the market and you put it a little bit below fair market value so that you can sell it quickly and get into escrow right away and hopefully get multiple offers on that. That's a different strategy. So you get into escrow and you have 17 days and then the clock starts for everyone. Now you get into escrow, the buyers do their due diligence, and then you start doing your due diligence at the same time. And one of the reasons why this one is riskier to the seller on this end is because you have a contingency that this buyer needs to close on your current home. So you may have to sweeten the deal with this new if it's a if it's a competitive offer, you might have to sweeten the deal within your offer and price and offer them just a little bit more. It really does depend. So that's something that 100% we would get into because it's going to be case by case. In a perfect scenario, there's no offers in and you guys can kind of do some negotiation. But in most cases, I want to set the expectation that you're probably going to have to sweeten your deal because there's an added contingency in case this buyer decides to cancel, then you're out. You no longer purchase this home. So there's so many different moving parts within this transaction, and really truly working with a realtor who specializes in these types of transactions is going to be super important. Very, very, very important. So let's get into the good stuff. My goal with every transaction, and I'm sure you're a realtor too, is to make your move smooth like butter. That is actually something a client told me before. Michelle, this was smooth like butter. And I was like, that's going to stay in my mind though. That's my goal. That's the whole point. That's why we're here, is to help you to lay it all out. And so that you can think of things, of course, that you wouldn't have thought of. And we can all bring it together and just make it an enjoyable experience, because I believe that is what it's supposed to be. So let me give you guys some tips. Okay. Here's what you want to do first. When you start brainstorming this process and the idea of it, these are some things that you want to do step by step. Number one, first, you're going to want to know your numbers. You need to create a specific plan specific to your situation. So this is when you and your realtor are going to work together and put your brains together. Ask your realtor to swing by and take a look at your property. They will need to see what the condition of your home is to give you an accurate valuation. And during the visit, your realtor will get to know more about what is important to you for your next move. Go over the marketing strategy for the sale and make recommendations on what to do or not to do to net the most money for the least amount of cost. Like my daughter used to do with the swatches. Can you guys see it? I got 99 problems, but closing deals ain't one. I love this cup. Okay. You'll get a seller's net sheet to see what you will have in your pocket after the sale. That's going to be your equity. That's going to be the cash you have to play with for your next purchase. And again, you can use all of it. You can use half of it. You can use a portion of it. So again, these are just, you got to know your numbers. And then next, you're going to want to get pre-approved for your new home loan. Once you go through step one, step two is getting pre-approved for your new home loan so that you know how much you can qualify for. You're going to want to look at all of those numbers because that's going to help you in determining the right price for you, where your budget is and where you're going to start honing in as far as price. And that can also mean the area that you're going to purchase in. And then once you get pre-approved and you know your budget and you know your comfort level and you know your price, then we're going to work together to see if there are any homes within your budget that you'd like to consider. So there may not be homes on the market that you would want to move into at that price. That's another thing to consider. We can go through all of this process and stop there. And you know what I mean? So before doing anything, looking at the big picture is going to be the ticket. But let's just say, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it going. And let's just say you see a good amount of homes. You see at least a handful of homes that you would like to see tomorrow. Then we can start looking at them and navigating depending on what your comfort level is as far as your strategy. As you can see, I spoke about a good handful of them, but there are more and other things that we can put on the table to kind of put all of the pieces together to paint a perfect picture for you, your family, and your scenario. And we're going to have to also start to prepare your home for sale because, like I said, if you're going to go with the option to buy first, your home has to be ready. Once you start submitting offers, you have to be ready to push the button to list your home for sale right away. Also, one more thing too is you can ask your realtor to help you negotiate a rent back agreement with your buyer to stay in the home after the sale. That's another option too. Ultimately, guys, the decision of buying a home before selling really depends on your personal circumstances, your risk tolerance, and market conditions. So if you're watching this video just for general information, thank you so much for tuning in. And I really appreciate you coming to the channel just to get an education of what that would look like, whether you're thinking about doing it maybe this year or next year, but you're not ready to really make a move yet. You just kind of want to gather information. I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, click like and subscribe because I upload lots of videos like this to help just get the word out and provide value and education to people who are thinking of buying and selling real estate. For those of you that would like to move forward with the next steps and you have a realtor, 100% the first step is to contact your realtor. For those of you that do not have a realtor, then I would be happy and honored to help you with that process. This is something that for me, one of my superpowers and where I'm very talented in is problem solving. And you can ask my kids. As a matter of fact, we had a conversation and my daughter asked me a question. She says, Mom, what's my superpower? And we just got into that whole conversation. And then I asked her the same question back. I said, what is my superpower? And that's what she told me. She said, problem solving. I was like, that's right. That's really what I feel inside. And so that's why, part of what makes me really good and talented within my profession outside of my personal life is that I'm a really good problem solver. So this type of stuff is fun for me. Brainstorm with me, connect with me. So there's a QR code where you can grab a link there to get onto my calendar where we can at least start the conversation and I can help you brainstorm the next steps.